everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to be talking about this earthquake that just struck Mexico. It was a 7.6, which ties for the largest this year. There's one other 7.6 in Papua New Guinea now, and that was just like about a week ago. Now we have another one that ties for first place, 7.6 off the west coast of Mexico. And there's some interesting things about this. Normally I would just report on this or talk about this on my other channel, Watch for the Signs. I'll put the link for it is in every video in the description. This is where I just like purely do like non-religious specific things, just watching for signs of the times. It's for a general audience. But whenever I feel like there's something that has to do with the church or has religious significance, I come over here. And so I want to show you what I found. So first, okay, so here's where the earthquake struck. Okay, I'm keeping this disaster spreadsheet. It's separate from my other spreadsheet that I have for the Christian Homestead channel. But I just want to show you right here on the 10th. That's when we had the Papua New Guinea earthquake, 7.6, largest of the year up until that point. You have to go back to August 12th of last year to get one that's larger. That one was it was a 8.1. And so we have these two, okay, two 7.6s only like 9 days apart. All right. Right now on the National Data Buoy Center, let me just refresh it. There are two buoys that are in event mode, meaning that that there could be a tsunami as a result of the earthquake. I'm not sure why there would be one over here on this side of the continent because this is really far away, but nevertheless, it is in event mode. And then there's this one, which is in the vicinity of where the earthquake struck. All right. So we got that. CNN tsunami warning follows major quake in Mexico. I checked before I started this video, and so far there hasn't really been anything. So anyway, let me just read a few things here. A 7.6 magnitude earthquake has struck just off the southwestern coast of Mexico in Michoacan state, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The Pacific Tsunami Warning Center has said that tsunami waves reaching up to 3 meters could hit Mexico. Initial tsunami waves have likely already occurred in coastal locations such as Manzanillo and Acapulco, and could strike tourist hotspot Puerto Vallarta imminently as well. Tsunami waves less than 0.3 meters could also occur along the Pacific coasts of Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, and Peru, according to the organization. Local news channels report that firefighters closed some buildings in Mexico City to the public due to concerns of collapse. I wish I knew more about that. I don't know if that's just like a precaution, or if they actually fear that some buildings could collapse. I haven't seen anything on that yet, but just keep that in mind as we discuss the religious significance of this. Going back to the map, so the earthquake struck over here. Okay, Mexico City is pretty well inland. In fact, it's closer to the Gulf of Mexico than it is to the Pacific Ocean, but it was felt all the way over here in Mexico City. So I find that interesting. 7.6, that is large. Okay, just a couple more things. Major earthquake strikes Mexico on September 19th for third time since 1985. This time a magnitude 7.6 with 1 dead. This is going to start to tap into the significance, potentially, of this earthquake. All right. A 7.6 magnitude earthquake shook the west coast of Mexico on Monday, coincidentally, or maybe not coincidentally, on the same day that two previous major quakes had rattled the country years before. So in other words, on this very same day, September 19th, Mexico has been rocked by two other large earthquakes like this one on the same day, different years. And then according to U.S. Geological Survey seismologist Paul Earle, quote, "This is a coincidence. There's no physical reason or statistical bias toward earthquakes in any given month in Mexico. As many as 10,000 people were killed in the 1985 temblor, a magnitude 8.0 that struck near Mexico City. The 2017 which is already an interesting year, isn't it? 2017. We'll do a quick recap of why 2017 was a significant year. The 2017 quake, a magnitude 7.1, killed around 370 people and caused heavy damage in the Mexican states of Puebla and Morelos. All right. Here's just like a little bit of footage. I'll put these tweets in the description below. But panic, destruction. You see these parked vehicles shaking, a dog running away, scared. Over here, this is in a hotel in Puerto Vallarta, and the fan is going crazy. Okay, so what's going on? What's going on? So the first thing I wanted to do, like usual, is see if there was anything significant about September 19th. As far as I know, there's not in the church, and so we also look at Jewish holy days, and things just keep getting crazier as the month goes on and as the year goes on. So you'll notice the 19th right here. Sorry, I can't make this any larger, so you'll just have to squint. The 19th is right here. This is where we're at. Look what is exactly 1 week after today. 1 week from today is Rosh Hashanah. It's the end of the sabbatical year. This is a sabbatical year that we're in. Every 7 years is a sabbatical year. It's called the Shemitah. So it's been kind of a special year. We have this earthquake that happens a week before the end of the Jewish New Year. 2 weeks before that, on the 5th, we had this happen. Let's see, this right here. An explosion on the sun, a CME, a coronal mass ejection, so large that it's going to be studied for years. Okay, that's what they said. For years, they're going to be studying what happened on that day. And that day was exactly 3 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. Now, today, this earthquake, 2 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. Also, the Queen of England died on the 8th. Okay, so that was 3 days after the sun event. The sun explodes. 3 days later, the Queen dies. She's known as being the longest reigning monarch in British history, and only behind Louis VII of France as far as like longest reigning monarch throughout the entire world, regardless of country. And then 1 day later, the oldest prophet and apostle of this dispensation becomes the oldest prophet and or apostle of this dispensation. A day later, on the 9th, President Nelson turns 98. Okay, and then the next day, on the 10th, we have the largest earthquake of the year in Papua New Guinea, a 7.6. Now, 9 days later, we have a twin earthquake of 7.6 in Mexico, which is on the opposite side of the Pacific Ocean from Papua New Guinea. And today, again, is 1 week before Rosh Hashanah. Going back to the calendar, going back 1 month, I just want to remind everybody that we had the meteor that went over the Salt Lake metro area on the 13th. The day after Tu B'Av, which is the big day for Jewish weddings. Wedding imagery, or a wedding is like a symbol of the second coming. And on this day, they started their basically I think like a 7-week countdown to Rosh Hashanah. This was the beginning. The day that we had the meteor over church headquarters that exploded and was heard all the way from southern Idaho, all the way down to Provo, which is a large, large area. That was the same day that the countdown began for the new year. Okay, so that happens, and then we have all this crazy crap that happens this month. I just happened to notice that, okay, so nothing really on the calendar. It's on the 23rd of Elul. So I wanted to see if Chabad or anybody had anything to say about the 23rd of Elul. Is there any significance behind it? There's two things. This first thing, I'm not sure that there's so much significance, but maybe you can let me know in the comments below if you see anything significant to this. Dove brings olive leaf. Okay, on the 301st day of the great flood, Noah sent a dove for the second time to the ark. This time, the dove stayed all day. The dove came into him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off, and Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. Okay, now, the next event, I think, has a little bit more significance. This is on michaelruark.blog, but it's also confirmed here, but I want to read from his blog because I like how he kind of words it. Okay, so Elul, the 23rd, the year 5761. So that's not this year. This was a while ago. The date of, let's just say it this way, the 11th day of the 9th month of this year. I have to be careful, like, talking about this. Okay, so this happened on the 23rd of Elul. You remember there was like a twin event that happened on that day where two things were destroyed that were known as twins. Well, I find it interesting that for this year we have these twin earthquakes that happen in close proximity to each other on opposite sides of the Pacific, both the same. The two largest earthquakes this year at 7.6. I don't know. I do not know if this means anything. It may not, but I tend not to think so. Okay, so the date of is the Hebrew date of Elul, 23, 5761. This date is just 7 days before Rosh Hashanah, which is the first day of Tishri, the next month after Elul, and the beginning of the days of awe. Quote, "Seek the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he is near." You may remember we did a little bit of research into the month of Elul, and in Jewish tradition, this is the month when the king, who normally is inaccessible throughout the year, you have to go through red tape, you have to be of certain status to have access to the king. Well, in Elul, leading up to the day, which is the month before Tishri, which has the two holiest days of the Jewish year, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. Okay, and this is how it works. These two holidays constitute the days of awe. There's 10 days, right? 10 days between Rosh Hashanah. Let's look at it on the thing here. So Rosh Hashanah, and here's Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah is on the 1st, Yom Kippur is on the 10th. Interesting that these are spaced by 10 days, just like how these two earthquakes were spaced by 10 days, right? So on Rosh Hashanah, if you're a Jew, what you're doing is in the month of Elul, the king is in the field, you're thinking about your life, you're thinking about the last year, you think about the ways that you could have been better, ways that you need to improve. And on Rosh Hashanah, they blow the shofar, which is like a call to repentance. It's like a call to, like, hey, everybody, we're wrapping up here. The year's the year's done now, and we're moving into a new year, and it's the lead up to the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur. So on Rosh Hashanah, your name is written in either the Book of Life or in the Book of Death. And there's a third group of people where their fate for the year, well, I don't want to say fate, but they're not yet recorded in either book. So you have the 10 days of awe to get things figured out and get your name ideally in the Book of Life. And then on Yom Kippur, it is sealed. It is written on Rosh Hashanah and it's sealed on Yom Kippur. Okay? So that's how it works. These are the two holiest holy days on the Jewish calendar. Specifically, the most holy one is Yom Kippur. Okay, so keep that in mind as we're reading this about what happened, in that year 01. Okay, so this date, this happened a week before Rosh Hashanah. This date is just 7 days before Rosh Hashanah and the beginning of the days of awe. Seek the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he is near, right? The month of Elul. The king is in the field. is seen by many Hebrews as a reference by Isaiah to the days of awe because God is nearest to man during these days of the year. A focus on repentance actually begins on the first day of the prior month, Elul. In fact, when exactly was the first? Oh, it was right here. Okay. Okay, never mind. Just forget that. Um, Repentance proceeds for 40 days from the first day of Elul to the 10th day of Tishri, Judgment Day, known as Yom Kippur. In Hebrew, the 40 days of repentance are somewhat comparable to the 40 days of Lent observed by some believers leading up to the day of the crucifixion. On this fateful date fell near the middle of this time of repentance. In fact, um, the 11th day of that month always falls near the 40-day period of repentance. Coincidence? Maybe, but no one should dispute that this date is a call for personal and national repentance. The question is, uh, will we will we individually and the nation as a whole heed the response to the Lord? Only time will tell. And then, it goes on here. I'm not going to read more. It looks like it's actually pretty interesting, but it's I can't ignore it. I can't ignore it that this year, okay, because in the previous years, I have the previous years pulled up. Here's 2017. So the 19th in 2017 was the 28th of Elul. You see how it goes because we're on a solar calendar, the Gregorian calendar. They are on a lunar calendar, so it shifts from year to year. In 1985, the 19th was on the 4th of Tishri, so it was in the Jewish New Year in that case. Just 1, 2, 3 days after Rosh Hashanah. So let's see. Let me just show you this. So the earthquake in 2017, there were 370 fatalities and 6,011, which that's an interesting number, 11, were injured. It was a 7.1, so not as strong as this one that we just had this year. It says the 2017 Puebla earthquake occurred just 2 hours after an earthquake drill done yearly on the anniversary of the 1985 Mexico earthquake. Widespread damage was caused in Mexico City, Morelos, and Puebla. Many buildings collapsed. 370 people were killed, and more than 6,000 were injured. And then the one in 1985, I have that pulled up. Now, look at this. You see this entire area that I have highlighted? This is all for that one earthquake. When you look at this Wikipedia article, every other earthquake pretty much just takes up one line, maybe two. Here was one in Chile that takes up a bunch, but most of them just, a line or two. But no, it looks like this one was a pretty significant one in that year. So 1985, September 19th, a magnitude 8.1 earthquake hits Michoacan, Mexico. Oh, that's the same place as this one. At least 9,500 people were killed. About 300,000 were injured. More than 100,000 people were left homeless. Okay, so that one was pretty bad. That one was pretty bad. Of course, we don't know yet, really, what the outcome is going to be of this one. Of course, there's early reports, but we're just going to have to wait and see how it all pans out. But anyway, so you have these 3 major Mexican earthquakes, the most recent of which is today, and it's on the 23rd of Elul, which is the same day that this event happened. And it happens to be that this year, this earthquake is a twin earthquake of the Papua New Guinea one 9 days earlier. I don't know. That's all I can say. And by the way, the one in Papua New Guinea, the reason why I have this highlighted all red is because that was the largest earthquake for Papua New Guinea of all time. So it's a record-breaking earthquake for Papua New Guinea. So I'll submit this to you. Do you see any significance? Do you have any other insights into this? I can't help but to think, like, you have all these major things that are happening right now in September as the sabbatical year is ending, and it's not just, you know, worldly things. We have President Nelson who just turned 98. It was significant. Now, technically, if you want to go by days and months, he became the oldest prophet in April. He passed up President Hinckley in April. And then I think it was last month he passed up David B. Haight for like the oldest apostle. Okay, so if you're doing it that way, okay, that's when he became oldest. But if you're doing it just by year, he became oldest on the 9th of September this year. So I don't know. Utah event, the meteor, Queen of England, President Nelson, twin earthquakes, huge solar explosion. Again, that happened 3 weeks before Rosh Hashanah. I don't know. And then remember, earlier this year, we had the largest explosion ever recorded, even larger than the largest nuclear bomb in Tonga with the Tonga underwater volcano eruption. Okay. So that was loud. We had the Ukraine war that broke out. That's loud. We had the meteor. That's loud. It's been a loud year. There's been crazy things happening. It's just ever since 2020, things have just. I don't think it's going to ever be the same. We're in a completely new phase, and with all these things happening before the start of the new year, the new Hebrew year. It raises a lot of questions for me about the next year, especially given the fact that there's people that believe that the next year is a jubilee. That's something that only happens once every 50 years. It's not currently being observed in Judaism because it has to do with the tribes of Israel when they are in their appointed lands. Okay. So it's not currently being observed, but if it was, some people are saying that this next year would be the Jubilee. I don't know. And then I think about this upcoming General Conference. We're just a couple weeks away. Let's see, we got this next week, and in my case, we're having state conference this weekend, and then the weekend after that, we have General Conference, and it feels like we just got primed by this recent worldwide young adult devotional for potentially more revelation, more changes to the church, because that was like the central theme of Elder Redland's devotional. It's almost like, hey, do you remember when this was changed in the church? Hey, do you remember when this was revealed? Hey, did you realize that this wasn't revealed until 50 days after this happened? Or sorry, 50 years after this happened? So it's almost like they were trying to give us a heads up that, hey, more changes are on the way. More changes are on the way, and I wouldn't be surprised one bit. Okay, well, that's going to be it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I would love to hear anything that I didn't say. I'd like to hear any additional ideas or information. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe. Also, make sure to subscribe to watch for the signs if you want to keep on top of these just record-breaking events and different things. I can't put it all on this channel. It would just be too much. Like this video if you liked it. Leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also, make sure to share it, and I'll talk to you guys later.